The WWE Universe is in absolute chaos tonight, because something happened that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. A Monday Night Raw that was supposed to be just another predictable main event turned into a night that will be remembered forever. And the fans are still arguing online, still stunned, still shocked, still questioning what they saw. Because in the middle of the chaos, when the lights dimmed and the noise in the arena reached a fever pitch, a ghost came back to life. A nightmare returned. A shadow re-emerged. Roman Reigns, yes, Roman Reigns himself, made his earth-shattering comeback, and he didn't come alone. He came with something bigger, something darker, something the WWE has been fearing for years, the rebirth of the OTC. For weeks, fans had been speculating about Roman's condition. Ever since he was taken out months ago in that brutal assault, questions kept swirling. Was he done? Was the tribal chiefs run over? Had the bloodline finally been buried? But Roman is Roman. He doesn't go out like that. And when his music hit on Raw, when that dawn echoed through the arena, every single fan in attendance lost their minds. Phones went up. The cameras shook. The atmosphere shifted. People were crying, screaming, booing, cheering all at the same time. Roman Reigns had returned. But the comeback wasn't just about Roman. It was about power. It was about control. It was about sending a message. Because in that main event, when Seth Rollins was facing Cody Rhodes for the World Heavyweight Championship, everything was hanging in the balance. Cody wanted to cement his reign. Seth wanted to prove he was still the face of Monday Night Raw. The crowd was split. The match was incredible, back and forth, each man giving everything. And then it happened, the lights went out. Silence fell. The Titantron glowed with a message in red, "Acknowledge the council." The crowd gasped. People immediately knew something wasn't right. This wasn't the Bloodline's usual warning. This was something new. And then, boom! Roman Reigns appeared on the stage, flanked by shadows, figures covered in black hooded jackets. Nobody could believe it. Roman didn't walk down with the swagger of a man coming to celebrate. No. He stormed down with the rage of a man ready to destroy everything in front of him. The commentators were losing their minds. Corey Graves was screaming, "This is impossible. He's back. Roman Reigns is back." Michael Cole, his voice cracking, said, "But who are those men with him? What is this? What is happening right now?" Roman stood on the apron, staring at both Seth and Cody. The fans didn't know what to think. Was he there to help? To hurt? To reclaim? The answer came quickly, because the hooded men revealed themselves, one by one, and the crowd erupted when they saw the faces. These weren't random henchmen. These were monsters. Veterans. Stars who had been missing, injured, forgotten. Roman had resurrected the OTC, the Order of Tribal Conquerors, a faction even darker, even more violent, even more unrelenting than the Bloodline. The OTC was supposed to be a myth. A rumor whispered about Backstage. A group Roman had teased forming before the Bloodline even existed. And now it was real. With him stood Jacob Fatu, a destructive powerhouse from his own family. With him stood Braun Breaker, furious, snarling, hungry for dominance. With him stood a returning Aleister Black, eyes burning with malice. And with him, of all people, stood Jimmy Uso, betraying his own brother G to stand beside the tribal chief once again. The crowd's reaction? Absolute mayhem. Half of them couldn't believe Roman had built something like this in silence. The other half were in awe, because this wasn't just a comeback. This was a hostile takeover. Inside the ring, Seth and Cody froze. For the first time in a long time, you saw fear in their eyes. Because Roman didn't just return to fight. He returned to conquer. And as he pointed to the ring, the OTC stormed in. A war broke out. Cody swung first, trying to take down Braun Breaker, but he was slammed with a vicious spear from Jacob Fatu that nearly broke him in half. Seth tried to fight back, kicking Aleister Black in the chest, but Aleister hit Black Mass so clean, Seth's body collapsed like a ragdoll. The crowd was booing, screaming, throwing drinks, losing their voices. Roman calmly walked into the ring, lifted Cody by the head, and whispered something only Cody could hear. Cody's eyes widened. And then Roman dropped him with a Superman punch. The message was clear: Roman Reigns is not coming back to be part of the story. He's coming back to be the story. And the most terrifying part? Roman wasn't smiling. He wasn't gloating. He wasn't mocking the fans like he used to. No. His face was cold, empty, almost dead. Like a man who had been broken, rebuilt, and unleashed with no humanity left. This wasn't just Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. This was Roman Reigns, the warlord of the OTC. Fans on Twitter instantly exploded. Hashtags like #RomanReturns, #OTC, and #Cody vs Roman trend within minutes. People were demanding answers. What is the OTC? How long has Roman been planning this? What does this mean for the Bloodline? And most importantly, who in the WWE can stop them? Because let's be real, You put Roman, Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, Aleister Black, and Jimmy USO together, and you've got a group that can run through any division. The tag titles, the mid-card titles, the world championships, everything is in danger. Every superstar is in danger. The entire WWE is in danger. And as Raw went off the air, the final shot was Roman holding the World Heavyweight Championship above Cody's unconscious body while the OTC stood around him like a circle of wolves. It wasn't a return. It was a warning, a declaration of dominance, and a promise of destruction. This is not the same WWE anymore. This is Roman's WWE. And whether fans like it or not, they will acknowledge him. The night after Roman Reigns' shocking return with the OTC, the WWE locker room was shattered. Whispers filled the backstage area. Superstars who once walked around with confidence now had fear in their eyes. Because it wasn't just the fact that Roman was back, it was the how he came back. The brutality. The strategy. The message. This wasn't the Bloodline. This wasn't the Roman Reigns who manipulated and politicked his way to the top. This was something else entirely. Monday Night Raw didn't just end with chaos, it ended with a regime change. And the fallout was immediate. Clips went viral online. Roman standing tall with the World Heavyweight Championship in his hands, Cody and Seth unconscious, Jacob Fatu roaring like a wild animal, Braun Breaker screaming at the crowd, Aleister Black kneeling in the corner like a sinister prophet, and Jimmy USO laughing like a traitor who had finally found his home again. The wrestling world was set on fire. Fans couldn't stop debating, was this the end of Cody's dream? Did Seth Rollins just lose his last chance at the top? And most importantly, why Jimmy? Why would Jimmy USO, who spent months rebuilding his relationship with G, turn his back and side with Roman again? Tuesday morning, WWE headquarters was reportedly in panic. Creative meetings were changed. Storylines were torn apart. Roman had altered the entire chessboard in one night. And then, to make things even more intense, Roman posted on social media for the first time in months. 3 simple words: we never left. Fans went berserk. Because what does that mean? We never left? Was the OTC something brewing behind the scenes this entire time? Were they the ones pulling strings? Were they watching as Cody and Seth built themselves up, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike? SmackDown arrived, and the WWE Universe tuned in at record numbers. Everyone wanted to see the fallout. But what they got was more than fallout, they got an earthquake. Roman didn't just show up. He opened the show. With the OTC beside him, he walked out slowly, deliberately, each man moving like a soldier in formation. The crowd booed so loud the cameras shook. Roman took the microphone, and for the first time in nearly a year, his voice filled the arena. You thought I was gone? You thought you buried me? You thought the tribal chief was finished? I was never gone. I was never weak. I was never broken. I was rebuilding. And now, I stand here stronger than ever, with my council, with my army, with the OTC. The fans tried to drown him out with boos, but Roman kept speaking, calm, steady, terrifying. I don't need the Bloodline anymore. The Bloodline was family. This is war. And with the OTC by my side, there is no one who can stop me. The camera zoomed in on his face, and you could see it in his eyes. He believed every word. Then he dropped the bombshell: Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, anyone who thinks they're next, listen carefully. This isn't about championships anymore. This isn't about moments. This is about domination. This is about rewriting the history of WWE under my name. You either stand with us, or you get crushed beneath us. And with that, the OTC symbol flashed across the Titantron, a blood-red emblem shaped like a wolf's head encircled by the words Order of Tribal Conquerors. The fans gasped. WWE had a new faction logo, a new brand of terror, and a new mission. But WWE's heroes weren't going to sit quietly. Later that night, Cody Rhodes came out bandaged, limping, clearly in pain, but still with fire in his eyes. He grabbed a microphone and told Roman exactly what fans needed to hear. You think you can scare us? You think you can take everything we've worked for and destroy it with your little army? No, Roman. This isn't your story anymore. This isn't your empire. This is our fight. And I promise you, as long as I can stand, I will fight you. And I will end you. The crowd exploded, but before Cody could even finish, the OTC's music hit again. Out came Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. Cody swung first, but the numbers caught him. He was brutalized again, slammed through the announce table while Roman stood at the top of the ramp, smiling coldly. The message was clear: you can resist, but resistance means pain. By the following week, the entire roster began to rally. Seth Rollins, still limping from Black Mass, aligned himself with Cody. GUSO confronted Jimmy in a tearful but furious promo, asking him why he betrayed him. Jimmy simply smirked and said, "Because you'll never be him," pointing at Roman. The crowd booed him out of the building. And then, out of nowhere, WWE legends started weighing in. John Cena posted cryptic messages on X, Twitter. The Rock teased that maybe, just maybe, it was time to come back. Because when a threat this big emerges, it doesn't just affect one superstar, it affects the entire history of WWE. The OTC had arrived. And they weren't just targeting championships, they were targeting the soul of the company. Roman's return wasn't just shocking, it was catastrophic. Because now, the question isn't who will beat Roman Reigns, the real question is who will survive the OTC. As Raw went off the air again, with Cody and Seth holding steel chairs, standing defiant against a ramp full of OTC soldiers, the fans were left breathless. This isn't just another rivalry, this is the beginning of WWE's biggest war in years. And no matter what side you're on, one thing is undeniable: Roman Reigns has changed everything. Forever. The OTC's arrival didn't just rewrite one night of Raw, it rewrote WWE history. And by the next morning, the entire wrestling world had gone into meltdown. Podcasts, YouTube channels, forums, Twitter threads, it was all about one thing: the shocking return of Roman Reigns and the rise of the OTC. Fans weren't just talking about it, they were arguing, fighting, splitting into factions online. Some believed this was Roman's greatest masterstroke ever, a move so bold and so calculated it put him back on top of the business. Others were furious, angry that their heroes, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, had been humiliated on such a grand stage, cheated out of victories that could have defined their legacies. The hashtags told the story: hashtag down with OTC, hashtag tribal war, hashtag Cody deserves better, hashtag Seth vs Roman. Millions of fans, locked in heated debate. Roman had managed to divide the WWE universe itself. But it wasn't just the fans who were split. Backstage, things were just as chaotic. Reports leaked out that multiple superstars were furious at the idea of being fed to the OTC. Others, however, saw opportunity. Aligning with Roman meant power, protection, and relevance. Even in kayfabe or maybe beyond it, Roman was running WWE like a mafia don. And with the OTC behind him, no one could touch him. The faction's dominance was instant. On Raw, Braun Breaker ran through Finn Balor like he was nothing. On SmackDown, Aleister Black dismantled LA Knight, leaving him bloody in the middle of the ring. Jacob Fatu destroyed the New Day in a 2-on-1 assault that ended with Kofi Kingston stretchered out of the arena. And every single time, the camera cut to Roman Reigns sitting in a chair at the top of the ramp, calm, unbothered, and proud. He wasn't just fighting anymore. He was orchestrating chaos. And then came Jimmy Uso. His betrayal was the most personal cut of all. Uso confronted him in the middle of the ring, tears in his eyes, begging for an explanation. The crowd was split, half booing Jimmy, half chanting Uso. Uso, in pain. And Jimmy, cold as ice, simply said, "Blood don't mean loyalty. Roman's my tribal chief. And you? You're just a shadow." That one line broke G. The fans roared in anger, some even throwing trash toward the ring. Jimmy had sealed his allegiance and shattered his brother. The USO war wasn't just back, it was now at nuclear level. Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes refused to bow down. His promos became more emotional, more raw, more desperate. One night on Raw, standing in the middle of the ring, battered but unbroken, Cody looked dead into the camera and declared, "Roman Reigns, you've taken everything from me. You've stolen victories, you've corrupted friendships, you've poisoned this company with your greed. But I don't care how many soldiers you hide behind. I don't care how many monsters you send after me. I will finish my story. And that story ends with me putting you down." The crowd erupted. But just as the chants of Cody filled the arena, the lights cut out. When they came back on, Cody was surrounded by the OTC. A 4-on-1 beatdown followed, with Roman once again watching from the stage, his arms folded, smirking as Cody was left unconscious in the middle of the ring. It wasn't about winning anymore. Roman was breaking his enemies mentally, spiritually, physically. And then came the real shocker: WrestleMania rumors. Insiders began leaking reports that Roman wasn't just back for the ride, he had a plan. A long-term plan. And that plan included a main event match that could change the company forever. Speculation ran wild. Was it Roman vs Cody 3? Was it Roman vs Seth, once and for all? Or was it something even bigger? Some fans whispered about a dream match: Roman Reigns vs The Rock, tribal chief vs People's Champ, this time with the OTC at Roman's side. Could The Rock stand against an entire empire? Could he return to finally silence his cousin? Others wondered if John Cena might be drawn back in, unable to let Roman poison WWE unchecked. Maybe Randy Orton, a veteran who despises tyrants, would lead the charge. Maybe CM Punk, always the disruptor, would have something to say. The possibilities were endless, but one thing was clear: the road to WrestleMania had just become the most dangerous in WWE history. And the fans? They weren't just watching anymore, they were invested like never before. Every show sold out. Every promo broke 1 million views. Every segment with the OTC drew nuclear heat. Roman Reigns had done the unthinkable. He had made himself the single most hated, most talked about, most dominating figure in professional wrestling once again. The story was bigger than championships now. This was about survival. Could WWE's heroes Cody, Seth, maybe even legends band together to stand against this unstoppable empire? Or would the OTC prove too strong, too ruthless, too organized? As Raw ended with Roman Reigns standing tall, the OTC symbol flashing across the screen once more, the commentators didn't even try to sell it as business as usual. Their voices carried the fear and tension the fans felt too. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no longer Monday Night Raw. This is the era of the OTC. And unless someone steps up, WWE may never be the same again.